Number 100 Squadron of the Royal Air Force is based at RAF Leeming in North Yorkshire, UK, and operates the British Aerospace Hawk T1. History: First World War. No. 100 was established on the 23rd of February 1917 at Hingham in Norfolk as the Royal Flying Corps' 1st Squadron, formed specifically as a night bombing unit, and comprised elements of the Home Defence Wing. The unit was mobilised and crossed from Portsmouth on the 21st of March 1917 to France and was first based at Saint-André-au-Bois, where it received 12 Royal Aircraft Factory FE-2Bs aircraft on complement. These aircraft had been withdrawn from other units where they had operated in daylight, so modifications were required to adapt them for 100 Squadron's operational role. On the 1st of April 1917, the unit moved to Isoul-le-Hameau and took a further 4 aircraft on complement, in the form of BE-2s. The squadron began operations on the night of 5/6 April 1917, when 11 FE-2B aircraft attacked Douai Airfield, where Manfred von Richthofen's Flying Circuses was based. Richthofen referred to this raid in his book, Der Roodkampfflieger. 128 20-pounds and 4 40-pounds bombs were dropped. 4 aircraft hangars were reported as having been set on fire and one of the attacking aircraft was lost. On the 17th of November 1918, 100 Squadron moved to RAF St Inglevit. On the 4th of March 1918, the squadron was sent to Ochy, near Nancy, to form the nucleus of the Independent Air Force under Major General Hugh Trenchard. In August of that year, the unit converted to Handley Page 0400's heavy bombers, and therefore longer-range sorties over industrial sites in Germany became possible. The squadron conducted these raids throughout the rest of the war. An aircraft from the unit was the last in wartime to return to base from a raid. Interwar period. After the end of the war, the squadron remained on the continent until September 1919 as a cadre before transferring to RAF Baldonnel, near Dublin, and reforming to full strength, re-equipping with Bristol F-2 fighters for Army cooperation. Close air support operations were flown during the Irish War of Independence. Following the end of hostilities, the squadron was moved to Spitalgate, Lincs, in February 1922 and converted to bombing, this time with Vickers Vimies and DH-9As. In May 1924, the unit was re-equipped with the Fairey Fawn. With these aircraft, the squadron performed airmail carrying services, breaking the general strike of 1926. In September of that year, the squadron took Hawker Horsley aircraft on complement, and in November 1930 moved to Donnybristle, Fife, converting to torpedo bombing. Its revised official designation as No. 100 Squadron came later, in 1933. A further re-equipment came in November 1932, when the Vickers Wildebeest came on complement, and with this aircraft the squadron was deployed as part of the operation to defend Singapore, arriving at Seletar in January 1934. Second World War. The squadron was put at readiness shortly after war was declared, but, for the period to December 1941, there was little involvement operationally whilst still based at Seletar. In November and December 1941, detachments were sent to Fisherman's Bend, in Victoria, Australia. Intended replacement aircraft for the remaining squadron were not forthcoming, and, as part of operations against advancing Japanese forces, the unit's obsolete Wildebeest aircraft were used in strikes against enemy shipping. Because of this, during January 1942, the squadron lost most of its aircraft in engagements with Japanese fighters. Despite several attempts to remain operational as a combined unit along with No. 36 Squadron RAF, as Japan made advances in the Far East Ghost Theatre. Most personnel eventually became prisoners of war. Others were evacuated to Australia. On 15 December 1942, No. 100 Squadron RAF proper was reformed in the UK, at RAF Grimsby, near Waltham, as a nighttime heavy bomber squadron and was part of No. 1 Group RAF Bomber Command. In January 1943, the squadron received the first of its new complement of Avro Lancasters. The first operation of the squadron was on 4 March 1943 against a U-boat base at St. Nazaire. A few days later the squadron was involved in a raid against Nuremberg in Germany and from then on, as part of Bomber Command's strategic role against Germany, took part in every major raid. At the end of 1943, the squadron had completed the second largest number of successful operations of units within No. 1 Group Bomber Command and had the lowest loss rate. On the night of 16–17 December 1943, the squadron received orders to attack Berlin. The raid became known as Black Thursday, as Bomber Command lost 25 aircraft on the raid and 28 in crashes at fog-shrouded airfields. At night, 100 Squadron lost the commanding officer, David Holford, who crash-landed approaching RAF Grimsby. On the night of 5 June 1944, the squadron bombed heavy gun batteries in support of the D-Day invasion. For the last month of the war, the squadron moved to Elsham Wolds in Lincolnshire. In the latter stages of the war and post-war, the squadron was involved in the humanitarian operations Manna and Exodus. At the end of December 1945, the squadron moved to RAF Scampton, being the last squadron on that station to operate the Avro Lancaster. The squadron then departed for RAF Lindholm in May 1946. Cold War. Between 1946 and 1950 the squadron was based at RAF Hemswell operating Avro Lancasters and later Avro Lincolns. The squadron left Hemswell in 1950, relocating to Malaysia where it was involved with Operations Firedog and Musgrave. In January 1954, the unit deployed to Eastleigh in Kenya during the Mau Mau uprising. Returning 2 months later, the squadron was re-equipped with English electric Canberras, moving to Wittering in Cambridgeshire. It was disbanded on 1 September 1959 but reformed at Wittering on 1 May 1962, equipped with Handley Page Victor B-2S, which, from early 1964, carried the Blue Steel missile nuclear weapon. Target Facilities Role. Disbanded again on 30 September 1968, the squadron was reformed as a Target Facilities Unit in 1972, utilising Canberra aircraft at RAF West Raynham in Norfolk. 100 Squadron combined with 85 and 98 squadrons and operated 26 Canberra aircraft from RAF Marham before moving in 1982 to RAF Whiten in Cambridgeshire. In 1991, the squadron converted to Hawker Siddeley Hawk T1S, which are now used for training and frontline support roles. In 1994 the squadron moved to RAF Finningley. After the news that RAF Finningley would be shut, 100 Squadron moved without its ground crew to RAF Leeming. Exercises Tactical Leadership Program 2015-4, operating from Morant Air Base 2 aircraft. Decorated Personnel. Wing Commander R.V. McIntyre, commanding officer of the squadron from April to November 1943. Awarded the DFC after completing a successful bomb drop over Bochum on 13 May 1943. Despite the aircraft having lost 2 engines to flak hits over Cologne. On return, McIntyre brought the aircraft into RAF Coltishall, Norfolk for a successful crash landing. Squadron Flag. The squadron flag, which depicts a skull and crossbones, was apparently stolen from a French house of ill repute in 1918. It was later embellished with the squadron name and the motto Blood and Bones. The original flag disintegrated while being looked after by Flight Lieutenant Trillwood during his time as a Japanese prisoner of war. The flag was originally dark maroon in color but was replaced by a black flag after the war. Following the 90th anniversary of the squadron, a replica of the original flag was presented to the squadron by Arthur White, a navigator with the squadron during the Second World War, in 2008. Aircraft operated: Royal Aircraft Factory F, E-2B, Royal Aircraft Factory B, E-2E, Bristol F-2B Fighter, Aircode DH-9 at Vickers VME. Handley Page 0400. Fairy Fawn 2, 3. Hawker Horsley I-2. Vickers Wildebeest I-2, 3. Bristol Beaufort 2. Avro Lancaster I-3. Avro Lincoln B-2. English Electric Canberra B-2 6th PR. 7E15 and AMP B-2. TT. 18T17 T19. Handley Page Victor B. 2 halves R. BAE Systems Hawk T.